Fireman Sam was a British and Welsh children's show based on the original idea by two ex-firemen, Dave Dringwell and David Jones, in the late 80s. The series first debuted on the 17th of November 1987 on Children's BBC, each episode being 10 minutes long, with 4 series running from 1987 to 1994, with 33 episodes and a 20-minute Christmas special. The series was animated by Bumper Films, a small company who had produced some other stop-motion shows around the same time as Fireman Sam. The show focused on a lot of morals about fire safety, and the stories took place in Pontypandy, a Welsh village, with a huge cast of characters including the fire brigade. Many episodes focused on emergencies like cats stuck up trees, kids falling down wells, and of course, buildings on fire. All the characters were voiced by John Alderton, who also narrated the series, kinda like Ken Barry in the first series of Postman Pat. After the final series in 1984, 7 years later into 2001, Gillane Entertainment would purchase the rights to Fireman Sam from C4C, with them announcing the new series to be made with 26 episodes with the same length time of 10 minutes. The series would be animated by Serial Production. This would be a new comeback for the show since the 90s, with a new animation style, new voice actors, and an overall new style for the show. This is the version of the franchise I grew up with since watching it on CBeebies and on some of the DVDs. Series 5 was released in its original language, Welsh, in 2003, and then it would be broadcasted to the UK and Australia in 2005. The series introduced more new characters and some new vehicles as well. So today I will be reviewing a 2005 Fireman Sam VHS tape, which is To the Rescue. So without further ado, let's get into this review. To the Rescue is a 2003 DVD and VHS release by Hit Entertainment, containing the first 5 episodes of the 5th series. Those episodes being Danger Fallen Sheep, Twist of Fate, A Real Life Wire, Bug-Eyed Boy from Venus, and Bath Time for Dusty. Not only do I own the 2003 VHS release, I also own the original 2003 DVD release and the 2007 re-release of To the Rescue. Damn, I really enjoy my Series 5 releases, huh? Like I mentioned, this series would introduce new characters into the show. Them being Tom Thomas, a mountain rescuer from Australia who is also a pilot of Wallaby 1, and is in control of the Pontypandy Mountain Rescue Centre. There is also the Flood family, including Mandy Flood, who plays around with the other children characters like Norman, Sarah and James. Her father Mike, who is a handyman and plumber, who has similar sort of traits to Elvis in the case of him loving music and being a clumsy character at times. And then there's Helen Flood, Mandy's mother, who is a medical nurse who works around the village helping out people in medical needs. There is also 2 animal characters that had been introduced as well. Wooly the lamb, who usually is taken care of by Norman in the fields around Pontypandy, and Dusty, a random stranded dog who had only appeared in only Series 5. He doesn't have an owner and just walks around Pontypandy. Some changes as well to the fire station and the fire engines, like Jupiter now having a crane ladder and Venus having a water cannon. And some new uniform features to the characters, like visors on their helmet to prevent them from getting smoke in their face, and torches and axes being on their belts. Danger Fallen Sheep is the first episode on this release and the first episode of the 5th series. The plot follows Norman Price planning to try and climb Pontypandy Mountain to become a famous climber. Meanwhile, at the fire station, Officer Steele gives out a speech and advises the crew to be on the lookout for any emergencies around the town. Norman arrives to the mountains to start his climb. Meanwhile, Sarah, James and Mandy are having a picnic at the top of the hill. Mandy shows off a party whistle that she got from her cousin's birthday party to the others and she blows it, which makes Wooly run off and he goes falling down the edge of the cliff and lands on top of Norman's head. Sarah, James and Mandy hurry to the phone box to phone the fire service to come and rescue Norman. The crew arrive and try rescuing Norman by using Jupiter's crane, but it doesn't reach him, so Tom Thomas is called by Sam to come and use the harness on Wallaby 1 to rescue Norman. Norman is soon rescued and so is Wooly, and Norman gets warned not to do stupid things like climb mountains again. This is quite a good episode to begin the series with, learning not to do stupid things like climb hills and get stuck in situations like that. There is some funny moments in this episode, like Mandy trying to warn Willie to read a warning sign even though he's a sheep, the little Tarzan reference Sam makes, and a little funny ending scene where Norman gives Willie its salad and Dillis finds out. The scene where there is a cameraman recording Sam rescuing Norman for the news, you can clearly tell it's Mike Flood's model being used for the character since they don't have any spare models for a cameraman character. There is also this CG animation of Tom's helicopter which looks a bit odd for me for some reason. But overall, Danger Fallen Sheep is a nice episode to begin the series with. Twist of Fate is the second episode on this tape. Station Officer Steele decides to have a day off and take Norman and Mandy on a cave hole exploration, with Norman having the intentions of finding Welsh gold after hearing on TV that it could be worth millions. After a check of all the equipment they need, the three go into the cave to discover. Meanwhile, the crew at the fire station is satisfied that they can have peace from Norman for a couple of hours. Mandy and Norman get way too excited about the cave and eventually they all get stuck when Station Officer Steele accidentally gets stuck through a hole which is blocking their way out. Dillis soon notices Norman has arrived back on time and so in worrying she phones the fire service. Norman, Mandy and Officer Steele's helmets soon lose battery, causing them to run out of light, with Norman losing the spare ones. Sam goes to report Mandy is missing to Helen, and the both of them decide to go together to the last location of the cave to try and find them, bringing along Dusty to sniff out where they are. I would probably say this is my least favourite episode from the 5th series. It's not bad, it's an alright episode, but it didn't really sparkle my interest when watching it. But however, there is some good parts of it, and I do love the little caveman joke with Dillis and Trevor's names being written on the wall. But overall, an okay episode. Not my favourite, but it's okay. A real life wire. The crew have a practice on how to approach electrical fires, which Elvis nearly gets himself caught by. Meanwhile, Mandy begs her mum if she could have an actual pet, because she is no longer wanting to take care of cuddle toys and would prefer to take care of an animal instead. Meanwhile, a squirrel soon causes mayhem around the town, sneaking into the fire station, biting on Elvis's kettle wire, annoying Dusty outside Dillis' shop, and soon gets chased by him up a tree. Mandy comes across the squirrel and decides to take it home to be a pet. Mandy gets Norman to distract her mum so she can sneak it into the house. She tries to entertain the squirrel once she's in the room and then leaves to get it some food. The squirrel bites another wire, causing the sparkles to catch light onto a newspaper, setting off a fire. The family soon notices the smoke, and just as Elvis and Penny sort out the kettle, the alarm goes off and the team set off to the emergency. The team arrive at Mandy's house shortly, but Mandy runs back inside to save the squirrel. Sam goes into the building to rescue her and she is eventually rescued by Sam. The fire is put out and the squirrel runs outside, with Mandy being warned that squirrels don't make good house pets. This is a really good episode to watch. It's quite a funny one with the scene where Elvis is struggling to imagine the TV is on fire, so Station Officer Steele just blows it up, and the squirrel model is quite a cute one to look at. Overall, a fun episode from the series. Bug-Eyed Boy from Venus. This episode begins with Sam, Sarah, James and Norman in Sam's shed looking out for shooting stars. Norman's convinced aliens are existent in Pontypandy and tries to convince them. The next day, whilst on Trevor's bus with Sarah and James, Norman convinces Trevor to stop the bus after spotting a crop field. Trevor tells Norman that it's nothing special, but Norman tries to say an alien landing. Norman soon decides to grab some items out of Dillis' shop to go around and make a costume of an alien to start pranking and teasing the residents of Pontypandy, which makes Bella freak out when she sees Norman. When Dillis hears about this, she decides to block up the shop, which causes a funny scene between her and Elvis.
And I won't let them do that to me. Oh, right then. I'll tell Sam he can't have his tea because aliens have invaded Pontypandy.
Soon after Trevor spots the alien, aka Norman, they decide to chase after him after Trevor spots him running away. Soon Norman's fun and tricks end when he gets himself stuck in mud. Dillis, being a concerned mother, decides to phone up the fire brigade to try and find out where Norman's went to. Tom sets off in Wallaby 1 and Sam and Elvis set off in Jupiter to rescue Norman. Eventually Trevor, Sarah and James catch up to Norman, who is now stuck in the mud, and Trevor tries to reach in to try and rescue him, but he doesn't want to end up getting caught into the mud as well, so Sarah and James pull him back. Tom spots Norman in the mud and goes to pick up Sam in the harness to rescue Norman. Overall, this is a pretty neat episode with quite a funny concept of Norman just running around pranking people and getting ended up in his own situation, and the bit with Elvis and Dillis always makes me laugh. A good episode. And now the final episode on this tape, Bath Time for Dusty. Station Officer Steele shows Sam a photo of the old station mascot, which gives Sam the idea to find a new station mascot for the Pontypandy Fire Service. James and Sarah, whilst with Dusty, spots a leaflet to sign an animal up for the station mascot, which they think they can put Dusty for. Meanwhile, Mike is over at the Mountain Rescue Centre to sort out Tom's boiler, whilst Tom cleans up Wallaby 1. Norman tries to sign Wooly up for the mascot, but Station Officer Steele disapproves of him. Sam thinks Dusty has the chance to win the mascot competition, so he suggests they give Dusty a bath. So they get a tub and fill it up with water. However, Dusty notices this and then runs away, with Sarah and James chasing after him. Back at the Mountain Centre, Mike is fixing up the boiler until he puts the fire gear down, and whilst trying to get the smoke away from his face, he accidentally gets a cloth on fire, causing a fire at the Mountain Rescue Centre. Tom notices the smoke coming out of the building and soon phones the fire service for help. The crew gets to the rescue. Sam goes inside the building to get Mike out of it, and Sam and Elvis then put out the fire, whilst also accidentally spraying Dusty with the water during the fire. And then Dusty is ready for his mascot photo with Sam, which goes happily well. This is probably my favourite episode out of the release, because Bath Time for Dusty is personally in the top 3 list of my favourite episodes of Fireman Sam from Series 5. Also, something I noticed in this episode is a goof. During the rescue theme, Sam climbs into Jupiter with Station Officer Steele and Elvis, and they drive off together, but when they arrive to the Mountain Rescue Centre, Sam's in Venus with Penny. I'm guessing this is just due to them using stock footage and not realising Sam was in Venus with Penny, so yeah. But this is a brilliant episode. And with that, that's been my overall look on Fireman Sam 2 The Rescue, the VHS tape release at least. I had to use footage from the DVD because I do not know how to transfer footage off a VHS tape. Well, I don't have the equipment to transfer VHS tape quality over to a laptop to do editing, so I just used the DVD rip I own. But yeah, To The Rescue is a pretty neat Series 5 Fireman Sam release. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you noticed during the recording I was muttering or struggling with certain words to pronounce, I've had really bad teeth problems and it's been kind of difficult for me to speak. As I think I've said this in multiple videos before, I love to push out my content, but with college life and a lot of other things going on at the moment, it isn't always easy for me to come up with ideas for new review videos or stuff like that. But I'm happy I got this video released. If you enjoyed, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.